I hope my screen is also visible. So yesterday we have completed about the uh, factory method, static factory method and instance factory method. So today our discussion will be on top of singleton class. Okay? Singleton. So what is the singleton class? So the name itself, from the name itself, you can guess. Okay, what does it say? Singleton means you can create an object only once. If you design a class in such a way that that class is going to, that class allows you to create an object only for one time, right? So such classes are called as what? Singleton class. So the definition is going to be very simple. If anyone is asking you, hey, what is a singleton class? What you can answer? Any class, if any class, or if any Java class, if any Java class allows you to create an object, okay, only one time. Only one time. Such classes are called as what? Singleton class. Is called as singleton. The definition is very simple, right? But we need to understand, we need to give little more explanation, and we need to develop a class which is a singleton class. How we can design such classes, we will understand that. Okay. For example, let us say that I have a class A. So this is my class A, right? So considering my class is going to have, it can have many variables, can have many methods. Okay, the variables are also called as properties, and the methods are going to talk about the behaviors, right? For my class A, I am allowed to create any number of objects. So I can say, like this is one object, like this. I am allowed to create any number of objects. So object 2, like I can create object 3, I can create, right? I can keep creating an object. There are no restrictions for me. Okay, I can create n number of objects, isn't it? There are no restrictions for the object creation, but I need to do some modification for my class A, so that this class A will allow me to create object only once. If you try to create an object for the next time, it is not going to allow. So we can achieve this. Okay, so to understand this better, let me introduce a small class. Let us say that I have a class like the class A, and I have the test class. My test class as the main method. So I have taken two classes under package ABC. Right? So what I can do, okay, with this class I can say a obj equal to new A, right? And a obj1 equal to new A, right? So and also I can say a obj2 equal to new A. So my A class is allowing me to create objects for 3 number of times. It is not only 3 number of times. So let me print the reference variables. You will get the complete picture. Let us print the reference variable. System.out.println, right? I want to print obj1, okay? I want to print obj2, okay? I want to print obj3, okay? So these reference values will help us to understand that there are 3 objects created, because each and every reference value is going to be different. Let me compile this. Java C space. Okay, before compilation, I want to save this. Okay, let me compile this. Java C space -d space dot space abc dot test dot java test dot. Okay, there is a there is an extra curly brace test dot java. Okay, let me do the execution. Java space abc dot. So you see the reference variables. Okay, you are able to see there are 3 different reference variables that is getting printed in the console, which means 3 objects are created. This is the ideal proof that, okay, the moment we start printing the reference reference variables, reference values will be printed. They are different in nature, which means 3 different values, so 3 objects are created. This is such conclusion, right? But my requirement is what? My class A should allow me to create object only once. That is my requirement. So if I achieve that, it is like I am achieving that I can name this class as a singleton class. My requirement is I just want to name, I just want to convert this class A to singleton class. So what is a singleton class? My class A should allow me to create an object only once. So what are the modifications that you can do? Let us do these modifications one by one, right? So let us try to trace this out. Don't think that I'm tracing these things, even though we know this, I'm just tracing these things just like that. It's not like that. You get a lot of things, okay? Changes to copper black. Okay, I think this is better. Let me keep this. Now you see, guys, so I have two classes, okay? Class A and class test, okay? If I give this code to the compiler, what compiler is going to do? Definitely compiler will add a default constructor. A constructor will be adding a default constructor, right? So this is a default constructor, and the access modifier is going to be same as the access modifier of the class A. What is the access modifier of the class A? Default is the access modifier of the class A, because if you do not specify any access modifier, it is going to do what? It is going to treat the access modifier as default, right? So default access modifier will be applied, right? So after this, the compilation will be started, and also each and every instructions will be executed, right? What is the first instruction? Every time you see the new keyword, an object will be created, and three objects are getting created because there are three new keywords, right? So new keyword, new keyword, new keyword, and each and every object is going to have a reference variable which we have just declared here, okay? obj1, obj2, and you have obj3. Right? Usually the reference values will be assigned. Okay, for the simplicity, I'm just directly taking the reference variable, right? The moment you start printing this, the reference values will be printed. Okay, so obj1 as a reference value, which is what? This is the reference value for obj1. So this is what given by the system. Okay, and obj2 is going to have this as the reference value, and obj3 is going to have this as the reference value, right? So you need to understand the call. Okay, after the new keyword, a call is happening to the constructor, right? Call is happening to the constructor, which means every time this constructor is called, every time this constructor is getting called every time. The first time it is getting called, okay. For the second time also it is getting called. The constructor is getting called for 3 times. Why 3 times? Because object creation is happening for 3 times. The constructor call is happening for the 3 times. Okay. Constructor call is happening for the 3 times. So if you go by the definition, singleton class should allow you to create object only once. But with the help of this constructor, if you look at this constructor is acting as a culprit, right? It is not allowing us to place any restrictions on the object creation, yes or no? Because the access modifier for this constructor is what? The default access modifier. Since this is default, within the outside the class in the same package, okay, this constructor can be called any number of times. If the constructor is designed in such a way that it can be called any number of times, what is the takeaway here? It means you can create objects any number of times. So I want to place one restriction here. I want to place a restriction here. What kind of restriction I can place? I can just change the constructor. Okay, I need to define my own constructor explicitly, but I want to do what? I want to ensure that the access modifier of this constructor is private. If the access modifier of this constructor is private, I can stop one thing. What I can stop here actually? What I can stop? I can stop creating an object. I can place some restrictions so that you cannot create an object for the class A. Because our understanding is stop on singleton. Singleton means only the class should allow the object creation only once. But This private constructor, when I place the private constructor, it is not possible to create an object. Even at least once also you cannot create an object. It's going to give the complete restriction. That is completely fine. So this code will ensure that, okay. So we are slowly building the singleton class, guys. This code is going to ensure that object creation is not at all happening. Let me compile this. Okay. You see, A as the private constructor, object is not cannot be created, and A as the private constructor, object cannot be created. A as the private constructor, object cannot be created. Right? So I cannot do this. Let me remove all this code. This is useless now. I cannot do all this. But my intention is I want to create object at least once I want to create. What else I can do? What kind of modification that I make? I need to design a method. Okay? I need to design a factory method. So this is a factory method. I need to design a static factory method. Actually, I have seen this static factory method. Okay, which is going to help me to create an object. Okay, so what kind of logic that I can write inside this method? I can consider two situations. One is, okay, the static factory method, it will create an object. It will create an object if the object is never created. Okay, I will give you the situation. It will create an object only if the object is never created. Only if the object is never created. Second one is, if the object is already created. If the object is already created, okay, it will return the same reference or instance. The same reference or instance. Okay, these are the these are the design that I'm expecting inside the while building the static factory method. I want to check these two things. What is the first thing? My static factory method will create an object only if there is no object creation, only if the object is never created. First thing. Second thing is, right, if the object is already created, it will return the same reference. Okay, let us consider this. It will create an object only if the object is never created. So I can use a if condition. Okay, inside this I can place a statement. I can keep a statement or conditional check. Conditional check. What kind of conditional check I can place? You just create an object only once if the object is never created. Conditional. Okay. This if condition will allow to create an object only if the object is never created. Okay, and if the object is already created, I need to return the reference. I need to do what? I need to return the same reference. Okay, first of all, let us build the static factory method so that this you can understand what I have just said. Okay, first of all, let me try to build the static factory method so that these things will be much clear. Okay, so let us go back and build the static factory method. I have taken a constructor as a private. Okay. Now I also want to take what I want. I also want to take a variable like private. Let me take the variable as something like a private static a equal to. I will tell you why I am taking this. Okay, let us build the static factory method. Static. Okay, the return type is going to be what? Return type is going to be the A itself. Okay, so I am taking get reference. Name of the method is get reference method. Okay, so inside this I am doing the object creation. A obj equal to new A, return obj. Okay, so I have a class A. Inside this I have taken a private constructor so that I'm restricting the object creation. So this is completely restricting the object creation. At least you cannot even create one object also from outside the class. right? But my intention is I want to create object only one, at least one time I want to create. That's it. To achieve this, I am taking what? I am building a static factory method. What the static factory method is going to do? It is going to return the object reference. It is a factory. It is a factory of method. It is going to create an object and it is going to return its reference. Okay, but if I keep calling the static factory method, okay, if I just keep calling the static factory method, again I am able to create object many number of times. So now, see for example, okay, I can do like this, right? How I can call this method static method? Very simple. By using the class name, I can call this method. It is just like, again it is allowing me to create an object many number of times. I just keep doing this. A dot get reference. Okay. If I call this method, if I call this get reference method, it is going to return me an object reference. I can store that in a reference variable obj, which is of a type. Okay. So this is just like, again, the static factory method is a kind of violation, right? A kind of violation which is helping us to create many number of objects. What is the proof? I'm calling the get reference, get reference, get reference over and over again. If I just print their reference, they print the reference variables, the reference values will be displayed in the console. Okay? You see three different reference values, right? Now look at here. There are three different reference values, which means again the object is getting created three number of times. So this static method is not helping us to place a restriction to create object only once. Again, this is helping us to create object many number of times. Okay, what I can do now? Go back and see this. Go back to the paint screen. So this is the piece of code that I have written, right? So inside the static factory method, what is the logic that I have taken? This is the logic that I have taken. Okay, whenever this logic is getting iterated, whenever you are calling this method over and over again, okay, it is like you are calling this method for three times. Okay, three times means three objects are getting created. Three objects are getting created. If you call this for four times, four objects are getting created. So it is even not even helping us. Okay, I want to create object only once. Still, I am able to create object n number of times. N number of times. If you are hitting this method for n times, n objects will be created. So now I can go for what? I can go for this idea. What is this idea? I can go for the conditional check. What the condition says? Only create an object if it is never created. Okay, for to achieve this, I am taking a variable like private static a equal to null. I am taking. Initially, I am taking a variable like private static a. Okay, a equal to null. Okay, instead of null, I can also take new a directly, but I want to take null here. First of all, I am placing the value null to the a data type. Okay, after doing this, so in the static factory method, I am going to make some modification. What kind of modification I am going to make here? Okay, so modification is like, I am placing a conditional check. If a equal to null, only if a equal to null, let me remove this, then do the object creation. Then do the object creation for the first time. If this condition is satisfied, then do the object creation. If not, return the value of age. Okay, sir. Very simple code, very simple code. Okay. Now I can confidently say that my class A is a singleton class. How I can say that this is going to allow me to create object only once. Where is the proof? So this is the proof. Let me execute this. I will help you with the tracing part for the better understanding. Right? Let me call the get reference method by using the class name a dot get reference method. Get reference method, right? Which is going to return what? Obj, which is going to return the reference value. Okay, I am storing that in the variable obj1 and the return type is a. Okay, let me Let me keep calling the get reference method for 3 occasions. Let's print the reference value system dot out dot println. Okay. I want to print obj1. I want to print obj2. I want to print obj3. Let me run this. You see, you are getting the reference values, but if you just analyze these reference values, you are getting the same reference value, which means object is created only once. Object is created only once. Okay, what is actually happening behind the scenes? I will help you with it. Okay, so let me copy this. Now focus here. Okay, even if you do not understand this, no worries. The tracing part that I am going to do now will clarify all your doubts. We'll understand. Now we'll get to know what is a singleton class, what are the why it is used, and what are the things, what are the benefits that you're going to get when you build a class, when you build a singleton class. So I'm just separating these two classes for the better observation. Okay, focus here. Now I have two classes, right? Public test and class. Now let's see what is happening. Let us start executing from the main. Okay, I want to do the complete tracing. What I am trying to do is, let us take the help of the compiler. Okay, the compiler, the command, you know what is the command for the compilation? Let me copy that also. Okay, so this is the command. Okay, this command is going to activate the compiler, right? Compiler, the job of the compiler is going to generate the dot class files. How many dot class files will be generated? One is test.java and the second one is what? A dot. Two dot class files will be generated, right? Okay. Yeah. The actual picture, the actual cinema will be starting from the JVM. How to activate this JVM? Okay, you know the command, right? You need to give a command so that the main class will be loaded. This is the command. Okay, this is the command. Okay, this command is going to activate the JVM, and also the test.java file will be loaded. Okay, so test.java file will be loaded inside the JVM. At the time of loading, if there is any static content, that will be recognized and executed. Now the actual cinema is starting. Now you see, you are saying a dot get reference. Look at the focus on the right hand side. First of all, always focus on the right hand side. That is the actual call. Okay, and left hand side is something like it's going to capture, the variable is going to capture the returned value. Always focus on the right hand side. Method call is happening. Method call is happening on top of class A. So now now JVM will load. JVM want to load the a dot class file. A dot. Every time I'm taking Java, guys, not Java. A dot class file. Okay, compiler will generate a dot class file. Test dot class and a dot, not Java. Every time I'm making this file. So a dot class file will be loaded on demand because you are calling the get reference method on top of class A. So first of all, a dot class file has been loaded. Now focus here. A dot, at the time of loading, if there is any static context in the class A, or if there is any static variable in class A, that will be recognized and executed. Now focus here. There is a static variable. Okay, this will be recognized in the method area. So there is a method area inside the JVM. There is a method area. This is called as what? MA, method area. This method area will store the static data. Okay, this method area, let me zoom this, is going to store the static data. So what is the static data here? Static data is the A equal to null. Okay, why it is going to store? The static is a static context, static variable. They get recognized and executed at the time of loading the dot class file. This dot class file will be loaded on demand because the main thread is pointing to the first instruction, which is working on a method get reference method, which is inside the class A. So first of all, a dot class has to be loaded. At the time of loading this, if there is any static block or static variable, and again, static methods will not get recognized. Okay, so they will be executed only when you call it. But static variables are very powerful. They get recognized at the time of loading the dot class file. So they get recognized at the time of loading. They get recognized. Right? After that, what you are doing now? What you are doing? You're calling a dot get reference method. The control will be transferred to the get reference method, right? Get reference method. Okay. Now inside this method, the first instruction is, see what is happening. What is happening in the first instruction? Okay. There is a conditional check. You are checking if a double equal to null, right? Indirectly, you are checking if null equal to value inside the a is null. You are checking that with the null itself, right? So this condition is going to get satisfied and is going to return what? True. True means this if block will get executed. Right now you are performing the modification. You are saying again what you are saying. You are assigning you are creating an object new a constructed to the a itself. So in the memory, this null becomes what? New a object is created. Okay, new a is getting assigned to the a itself. Okay, so this variable in the memory level will be changed as new a. The memory, but in the notepad you cannot see these changes. In the source code you don't see these changes, but in the memory level, okay, in the JVM you're going to see this change. These changes will be happening in the JVM. You need to imagine that. Okay, after this, okay, what is the return? What is the return type? Return type is a. What is the value inside the a? Okay, new a, right? So you are returning what? You are returning the reference variable itself. You are returning what? You are returning the reference variable itself. This is going to return what? The reference variable, which is nothing but the reference value. I can say that it is returning what? It is returning a itself. Okay, so this a will be captured by obj1. A will be captured by obj1. obj1 is going to capture it. Now if you see here, so obj1 is capturing what? Is capturing the reference variable of an object. Reference variable of an object, which means an object is getting created in the heap area in the runtime. Okay, there is an heap area inside the JVM, which is going to, there is heap area inside the JVM. It is going to do what? It is going to store the objects. Heap area. Let me enlarge this. Okay. It is going to do what? It is going to, object is going to get created only once it is getting created. Okay. Only once object is getting created, because you call get reference method, that is creating an object for the first time, a equal to new a, okay, and this is going to get a reference like, okay, obj1. Why obj1? Okay, so this is the reference variable that I use, obj1. obj1 will be assigned here. Okay, so and again in the method area itself, okay, this obj, this in the stack area, this obj1 will have the reference value. What reference value that we got? This is a reference value that we got. This is the reference value for obj1. So now see, now if you execute this for the second time, first line has made so many things like this, okay, and if you execute this code for the second time, okay, a dot get reference, okay, the control will be transmitted to the get reference method. This time a is not equal to null. A is what? A is what? What is the a? What is the latest value of a? New a equal to null. It is like new a getting compared with null. Since it is not valid, it is found to be false. If block will never get executed. It will get executed only once. For the second time call, it will never get executed. Directly, it is going to return what? It is going to return the reference value. Return a. Return a means the existing object reference will be returned. Okay, the reference value, this one will be assigned to the obj2. Reference value will be assigned to the obj2. Likewise, okay, what is the third instruction? Third instruction is what? Third instruction is what? A obj 3 equal to a got return. Again, okay, this if condition will be failed. Return a, the same reference value will be returned to the obj3. If you create objects for, if you call the factory method for obj for n number of times, the same reference value will be given, because object is created only once. After creating object for the first time, on the second time onwards, the existing object reference will be shared for the remaining method calls. obj. That's why if you are trying to print the reference variables, the same data is getting printed, which means object creation has happened only once, and the same reference values are being shared for the remaining reference variables. Okay, by looking at this, you may not understand better. For simplicity, what is a singleton class? If any class allows you to create an object only once, it is called singleton class. How we can design a singleton class? Okay, there are three major points I will give you. Just remember that points. Then if you, with some practice, you will understand this very much clearly. What are the 3 points that I can give here? The first point is, make sure that the constructor is private. So that by making sure that the construction is private, okay, you are placing a restriction. Okay, how I can put this in words? How to achieve creating the singleton class. First thing, you have a class A. Okay, class A, declare the constructor as private. First point, declare the constructor as private so that direct object creations are avoided. Direct object creations can be avoided from outside the class. So what I am doing, a private first step. This is step 1. We put it here. This is step 1. What is the second step? Second step is what? Declare a private static variable to hold the object reference. Declare the private static variable to hold the object reference and assign the value as null in the beginning. Okay, so what do we really mean? Private static a, okay, obj equal to null. Second step. Okay, they are recognized and expired. If you change, if anyone is changing this, the changes is applicable forever. I mean, until and unless you stop making changes, the existing changes will be reflecting forever. Right. Third one is what? Define a static factory method. Static factory method to return the object references. To return the object reference variable for one time with the right conditional checks. Right conditional checks. It means, what does it mean? If the object is never created, create it once. It would create an object. Therefore, same object reference would be shared the next method calls. These are the 3 steps if you remember. Okay, how I can design the static factory method? Same thing. Okay, same thing. This is static factory method, and first if the object is never created, create object. If the object is created already, return the reference. So this is the method, static factory method. With the help of the right conditional check, you ensure that object is getting created only once. So these are the three major steps that you can follow to create a class which is a singleton class. And again, there are two ways. Okay, there are two ways of initializing or defining the singleton class. First one is there is a concept called eager initialization. Eager, something is very eager. Initialization. Second one is lazy initialization. What is eager initialization? Very simple. I am creating the object eagerly. Okay, it does not make any sense, isn't it? What does it mean? Instead of assigning the null value in the beginning, okay, instead of assigning null value in the beginning, directly I'm creating an object and placing it. I'm saying new A. Object is created in the beginning itself. Okay, I do not want this conditional. I can remove this conditional check. This is called as eager initialization. Even though with this, okay, you can achieve the object creation only once. See, all the reference variable values are same, which means object has been created only once. What is happening behind the scenes? Okay, so I have taken a static variable which is actually creating an object, right? I'm calling get reference method, right? This get reference method will always return A. What is A? The existing object reference value. The same reference variable will be returned always. It always returns A. Returns A. Even if you call n number of times, the same A will be returned. The same object is getting returned. So this concept is called was eager initialization. Okay, I can copy this code, I can give it. So this is the class that is talking about which initialization? The eager initialization. Okay, what is the theory I can give? Please be informed that a static variable that is defined would have the reference value object and at the time of loading the dot class file to the JVM. Okay. At the time of loading the dot class file to the JVM. Directly we are using new A. Directly we are using what? Directly we are using, instead of null, directly we are using new A. When you use this, okay, now this would become like at the time of loading the dot class file, directly the value A is going to have what? Value is going to have the reference object as the reference value. Directly you are initializing it. This is called eager initialization. So this initialization will avoid having these if conditional checks. This can be avoided. This can be avoided. Okay, directly you call get reference method and it is going to return what? It is going to return the same reference variable. Just a reference value as object creation. The object will be created only once. Every time the same reference variable will be given. This reference value will be shared for n number of method calls. This is called as what? Eager initialization. Right? That's what I'm writing down it in a theory. Please inform that static variable defined would have the reference value as the object with time of putting the dot class file to the JVM. Right? And the constructor has been defined as a private and addition. Constructor has to be defined as a private. In addition, static factory method. What the static factory method is going to do is will to return the same object reference during every method for every method call. Okay, this is called as what? Eager initialization. Eagerly or initialize. Eager initialize. Okay, so very simple, no? What is a singleton? Okay, you can say what is singleton. If any Java class allows to create object only once at the time, is called singleton class. How we can achieve this? You remember these three ways. Take a class, take a private constructor. Second one is take the static variable of the class type, okay, assign it to null, and take a static factory method. Is going to have a conditional check. If the object is not created, creates an object. If the object is already created, it returns the same reference variable. Okay, and again, it is categorized two types for initializing the singleton class. Okay, what is the eager initialization? Second one is lazy initialization. This initialization will always talk about the variable that you are taking, the static variable that you are taking. This talks about the initialization. When you take the reference value directly, this is called as eager. And when you do not take it, okay, the actual thing that you have discussed is called as what? This is called as the lazy initialization. The actual example that you have taken is called as what? The lazy initialization. When you are not, what is lazy initialization? Okay, lazy initialization. You can take this previous example. This is the lazy initialization. First, you initialize it to null. After doing the conditional check, if the object is not created, then you create an object. This is called what? Which is called as what? The lazy initialization. This is an example. So what theory we can see with the lazy initialization? We can say that, okay, unlike in the previous example, we don't initialize the variable first, and we initialize the null value. The null value will be assigned to the at the time of loading the dot class file to the memory. The JVM, I can say. Concept is called as lazy initialization, because for the first time the variable is null. For the first time the variable is null, right? And for the further execution the variable will get a reference. Executions ensures that the variable get a reference. So this is the lazy initialization, this is the eager initialization. In the Spring Boot application, everywhere you would come across these singleton classes. So by default, the scope of the beans in the Spring Boot is what? Singleton. So you don't understand that much now. But to understand that, this is the basic thing that you are understanding. If anyone is asking you what is singleton, you'll be in a position to say what is singleton. But what are the benefits that you get with the singleton? You can store a lot of memory. For example, if you want to execute only one method over and over again, you have a class. This is my singleton class. You have a class, and if you want to execute one method over and over again, for example, let me take a method like a void GC method, garbage collector method. Okay. System dot out dot println. Okay, I can say that garbage collector. Right. So to do what? To actually to invoke this method, to call this method, one reference variable is enough for. It is not like I can create object over and over again. One object is already created somewhere in the JVM. Okay, from a different file or from a different location. If you can create an object from a different location, this is from location A. Let us say that location A. This is an object creation from the location B. This is an object creation from the location C. Even though if this method, if you're creating any number of objects, it is like only one object is getting created. We think that you're getting many number of objects, but your only one object is only one object reference is being shared for all these locations. Right? From this location, from obj1, by using this reference, you can call what? You can call this GC method. Okay, this is logic to understand. Okay, the logic will be very complex. So just for the understanding, I am taking it as garbage collector. Right. So from this reference, okay, you can execute this. You may be thinking that you are getting an object, but object is already created, but the reference variable is being used to call this method. But if you just execute this, okay. Okay, this is void return type, right? So I cannot use this system.out.println. It's not returning anything, so I need to call it directly. Feature 3 dot garbage collected, garbage collected, garbage collected. But without singleton, right? If you are not using the concept of singleton, location A person has to create one object with a new keyword. Location B person has to create one object with a new keyword. Location 3 person has to create one object with a new keyword. Like that, 10, 100 locations, 100 new objects. Memory is getting wasted, right? Typically, memory is getting wasted. So since our logic is completely what I can call it as, it does not depend upon any memory. If you just want to invoke a business logic method, or if you just want to invoke a method that you are going to use frequently, why you need to create a many number of objects? So instead restricted object creation, create only one object. So memory can be saved, and with the help of same references, you can call the method over and over again without wasting the memory. So this kind of requirement will be there in the application development. Over there, the singleton concept will help out. And also the singleton class is not only limited to Java. Singleton is a design pattern is applicable for all the programming languages. Concept is like even in Python also, if anyone is asking what is singleton, this is the exact definition. If any class allows you to create an object only one time, it is called singleton. When in PHP, even in Scala, whatever the programming language that you are learning, this is common for all the programming languages. This is coming as a design patterns concept. Right? So how we are implementing in Java, that I am explaining. Right? Hope you're able to follow what I'm trying to say. Right? Very simple, yeah. Remember these three things. Okay. What is singleton? Now you are in a position to answer what is singleton. Where is it? So this is singleton, right? You want to write, they will ask you to write a small program to demonstrate about the singleton class. So this is a small program that you can practice. This you will understand. Okay, without practice, if you just try to imagine the things just like that, it will be very difficult. You will feel like you're learning, you're dealing with rocket sciences. Any questions for me? You can ask me questions.